I'm talking to Winnipeg's new bicycle mayor. This is Patty Wiens that I'm talking to. And she is our first bicycle mayor in Winnipeg. The bicycle mayor job was created in Amsterdam to have someone representing bicycling communities. And Patty Wiens joins over 120 other bike mayors in different cities across the globe. But what does it mean to be the bike mayor in Winnipeg? And how can the bike mayor support cyclists and improve conditions for biking? We want to hear from you as well as from Patty. What do you want to see done to make Manitoba more bike-friendly? Get in on the conversation right now. Call us at 204-780-0893. Toll free 1-800-268-5483. And Her Worship Mayor Patty joins us in studio. Hi, Patty.
Hi, Lauren. How are you?
Fine, thanks. How are you?
Excellent, thank you.
Good. So how was the bike ride in today?
Today was nice. The winds were a little bit quieter, but I do have an e-bike, so I really can't complain about the winds. Let me tell you, people that say we don't need e-bikes in Manitoba have never ridden a bike on a windy day.
It's the wind, absolutely. Nice and flat with, 90K gale in your face. Absolutely. Exactly. So tell me, why did you want to be the bike mayor?
My go-to answer is I wanted to make sure that it was a woman that took the job.
Oh, just because it's easier to get on the bike or what?
No, because I wanted to represent as much of our diversity as possible, right? Mm-hmm. On a bicycle, I wanted to make sure to represent women, children, and men, and anyone that rides a bicycle. So I wanted to be Winnipeg's first. Mm-hmm. And also, I am from Brazil, and I ride my bike in winter. I think that is a really unique quality that I have. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Especially for someone from Brazil.
Right, exactly.
Yes.
And I wanted to be able to say, look, I have overcome this at 50. Mm-hmm. Right? I'd love to help you overcome this as well and make riding your bike to work or to get groceries or anything like that a commonplace thing.
Yeah. And how does one become the bike mayor? What's the process?
Right. So bikes.org, BYCS.org is the organization that's Amsterdam based, and it's worldwide now. But it's a global network where you apply, you send in an application and 3 referral letters, and hope that they accept your proposal to become a bicycle mayor. You have to indicate at least 2 goals that you have mm-hmm. during your 2-year mandate. Mm-hmm. And that's what I did.
So what are your goals?
Well, number 1, it's to elevate the perception of the person who rides their bike for transportation. I don't like to say cyclist because there's this connotation that you have to, be on a speed bike and wear Lycra. And a person, to me, a person who rides a bike every day doesn't have to look like that, right? So that's number 1, is to elevate the perception, to make it a normal thing to ride a bike to work or get groceries, like mm-hmm. I said. And number 2, to help in advocacy, which is something I was already doing before. I'm on the board of Bike Winnipeg, and advocacy is what we do to, present better options for bike lanes, safer bike infrastructure, and all that.
Well, those are admirable goals, and we're hoping to get the community to comment, and maybe they have some suggestions for you. Give us a call and talk to our new bike mayor. It's 204-780-0893, and we have someone on the line right now. Hello.
Hi. How's it going?
How's it going with you?
Pretty good.
Are you on your bike?
No, I'm actually sitting at my desk.
All right. Well, Cliff, what did you want to say?
Well, I was curious for Patty and her advocacy. So I live in the North End.
Mm-hmm.
And I would love to bike to work, but I would have to deal with that McPhillips underpass. So for someone that's in an area of the city that's not got the best protected bike lanes or bike lanes at all, what's the best advice? Is it scooting over onto the sidewalk? Is it battling our Winnipeg drivers? What would be the best way? Hi, Patty. I love you.
Hi, Cliff.
Is this a setup?
I've known Cliff a very long time.
Yeah.
And what's the answer?
And more for the North Enders, right? We don't have as many bike lanes as traditionally in some of the south or downtown areas. So, like for me, getting around is really going to be on roads or sidewalks.
Right. So, Cliff, we would love to have you join Bike Winnipeg and have your voice heard, because we don't have a lot of representation on our board from people in the North End who want to ride their bikes to work, but we are advocating for better bike infrastructure. It's part of what we do as Bike Winnipeg, and like I said, I'm on the board. But one thing you can do is come out on a group ride one time, because we do find alternate routes around the city as a group. Reach out to me. I would love to have you come out, and we're going to teach you some ways to get around those things. And yes, sometimes sidewalks are necessary, unfortunately, in our city, even though it's not legal. It is the safest option. We definitely don't want you to have to deal with drivers if you're not comfortable with that. I do that all the time, but if you're not comfortable, definitely take the sidewalk or come join us on a group ride. We'd love to have you.
There you go, Cliff. The solution is there. Boy, yeah, that McPhillips underpass. I can't even imagine riding a bike through it. So there must be a way around.
Lanes. Yeah, it's 2 lanes north and south, and it's busy with the Arlington Street Bridge closed down. So
Well, thanks. Okay. Yeah, thanks very much for your comment. And that's exactly what we want to hear from you. What's holding you back from joining the cycling community or the being transported on a bicycle community, depending on how you want to phrase it? Are you finding the road scary, or can you recommend some good routes or some good tips for becoming a person who gets around on a bicycle? I think we'll stay on the phone, and let me just see. Oh, Steph. Hello, Steph. Shane on lane. Oh, sorry, we got the lines confused here. Sorry, Shane. Are you there? Hello, Shane? Nope. Oh, just a minute. We're having technical difficulties. And this is the part where I go, tell me, Patty, is this a volunteer position?
Yes, it is. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Just passion driven?
Yeah. I was already doing so much advocacy work with Bike Winnipeg. Ever since I started riding my bike year round, I became really passionate about, bringing attention to the lack of safe infrastructure that we have in the city. And so it was just a natural move to just do more advocacy work.
Yeah. And as you suggested, getting people out there. And as Cliff was pointing out, that there definitely are some perils out there. Let's talk to Shane. I think we've got him back on the line. Hi, Shane.
Hello, how are you guys?
Very well. How are you?
Well, I have a couple of questions.
Okay.
What does your enthusiast, by the way,
Patty?
I'm 77 and I've ridden bikes my whole life.
Uh-huh.
But it seems to me in the grid parts of Winnipeg, one-way streets and 30-kilometer speed zones with speed humps would make the whole town much safer for bicycling and save a lot of money.
Yeah, from your lips to God's ears.
What does your expert think about that?
Patty's nodding.
Shane, you couldn't have said it better. I was just thinking about this today. I have 2 different routes that I take to work. In the winter, I take St. Matthew's because it is the shorter route, and it's, you don't want to be outside very much in the winter. So it's a shorter route, but it has these painted bike lanes, and it's absolutely dreadful. But then in the summer,
useless.
Exactly. So in the summer, I'm able to extend my route a little bit by 3 kilometers, and I take calm streets, and they're all 30-kilometer zones, and there's hardly any cars on them, and it's so much more pleasant. It would be so nice to have a lot of if we had a lot of 30-kilometer streets, we really would not need much of a lot of dedicated bike infrastructure at all. It would be much safer.
Precisely.
I agree. Yes, thank you.
Precisely.
And keep saying those things out loud.
Well, but seriously, one-way streets also save the city huge amounts of money because they last 1.5, 2 times as long, because with the parking changing side to side, the stress on the road is still eliminated a great deal. And like you said, the 30-kilometer zones make bicycling a piece of cake.
Exactly.
Well, those are some
Anyway,
very, very good ideas.
Advocate for it. You're in a position to advocate for it better than I am.
Well, you can.
Congrats.
You
Good
just
luck.
did. Thanks a lot. And let's go to Stephanie. Hello, Stephanie.
Hello.
What would you like to say to Patty?
Well, I wanted to ask, say that there's way too many bikes riding the sidewalk, and I just find that they're really inconsiderate. Like they want the pedestrian to move over for them. I just want to know what she's doing about getting the bikes off the sidewalk and onto the road.
Yeah, it's interesting, Stephanie, because it's like nobody wants us anywhere, you know. When I'm on the road, I get yelled at by cars, and then sometimes I feel super unsafe, especially as a woman, to be on the road. And sometimes I have to take the sidewalk, and trust me, I'm a very assertive rider. And sometimes I still have to take the sidewalk, and I try to be so considerate. But, you know, sometimes it's just necessary, because if we had more bike infrastructure, more safer bike infrastructure, we definitely would not have to be on the sidewalk. You know, in countries in Europe that have safe bike infrastructure, you never see bikes on the sidewalk. But it's definitely an issue that we have here. So thank you for calling about that.
Is there any reason why cyclists don't get off their bikes when they have to be on the sidewalk and just walk them? People do, don't they?
I do, absolutely, on the sidewalk, especially if it's going to be a short little jaunt on the sidewalk. But there are stretches where, like Cliff was saying before, a whole underpass, you know, it just doesn't make sense to push your bike for a couple of blocks.
Yeah. Thanks very much for the call, Stephanie. And we'd like to hear more about how people are feeling about riding their bicycles in Winnipeg. Give me a call at 204-780-0893. Now, we just heard from Stephanie about cyclists on the road, and quite often people on bicycles do get there's a lot of criticism one way and another, mostly from motorists, of course. But then a lot of people who ride bicycles also drive cars. But do you think that they kind of get a bad rap? Is there a bit of a stigma around the bicycling community that they're all, you know, riding on the sidewalks and scofflaws and so on?
Yeah, there is a lot of that. You know, Lauren, I get a lot of this. Cyclists are always running the stop signs, right? So I started recording my rides, and I have a camera on me all the time. And the amount of cars that never even look at four-way stop signs and just blow right through them is insane. Now, when I blow through a stop sign, I look both ways, make sure there's no one coming, and the worst that's going to happen is I'm going to injure myself. But when drivers blow stop signs, they really can, you know, do a lot more damage to pedestrians and cyclists and, you know.
Well, anybody blowing a stop sign is probably a bad idea, but I think in some places there are slightly different rules for where it's legislated that cyclists have to slow down, because of course they're going quite slowly.
Of course.
But maybe if there was some clarity around that, we would then people would be like one law for the cars and one law for the bicycles. Maybe that's what there needs to be.
Yeah, we do have, it's called an Idaho stop, and it's legal in several states. It hasn't been brought over to Manitoba yet, but I would love to see the Idaho stop here, for sure.
Yeah. And what other things would you like to see happening here?
I think that one of the most important things that I'd like to see would be a connected bicycle network. Right now, our bicycle network is very disconnected. There are certain bike lanes somewhere. There are slow streets, but there's always a spot where cyclists have to, you know, go on the sidewalk or put themselves in danger by going in high traffic areas.
Yeah. And how would you describe the bicycling community here? How big is it? How diverse is it? I know you took this position yourself to highlight the diversity needed to be shown in the community. What's it like compared to, because lots we hear stories about cycling, and quite often negative ones, but lots of positive ones too. But How much of Winnipeg is into bikes?
I can't tell you how much of Winnipeg, but what I can tell you is that my circle of friends expanded exponentially by just riding a bicycle. You know, you're riding on the streets and you stop beside someone and you instantly make a new friend.
Yeah.
Or if you need help, you know, we have a Discord community where we can ask for help and tips on how to get places. And it's been really, what I say is when you ride a bike is your world gets smaller, but your community gets bigger.
Sure. Now, we've been having a couple of little technical glitches here. We had a couple of calls on the line, but they got dropped. So if you could give us a call back, people who just called, at 204-780-0893. We are ready and waiting for your calls. Sorry that those got dropped. That's what happens in the studio sometimes, normally known as gremlins. So talking about other cities where things are done differently, Winnipeg has a big winter, but of course in northern cities in Europe, for example, I think people ride year-round. Are there some ideas from those kinds of cities that we could adopt?
Yeah, we just had a speaker at our AGM at Bike Winnipeg, actually, someone from Oulu in Finland, that showed how they built their whole bicycle network to work in a very winter city that leaves us in the dust in the amount of winter that they get and the dark nights. And it's really a matter of planning so that you don't have to buy special equipment and your roads are wide enough and you give priority. If you give people the priority, it's not about the weather. It's really about the infrastructure.
Well, we have lots of calls on the line now that the gremlins have disappeared. Let's see. Chris, are you there? Hi, Chris.
Hi. I have lots of things I might say about biking in urban areas, and I've been riding a bike since, for the last 50 years. I've enjoyed riding my bike, and a lot of the things that have been said already are pretty important things. So I'll say something really different, which is lately my bike riding experiences are spoiled by the smoke in the air and the excessive wind. And there's absolutely nothing the bike mayor or any of us are going to be able to do about that, unless, I guess, people get behind the climate change fight, too. So let's fight for climate change purposes and see if we can do anything about the smoke in the air and the excessive winds, because climate has changed and biking has changed thereby.
Well, that definitely affects the biking experience. Thanks very much for your call, Chris.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
And Kathleen, I understand you have a safety tip for us.
Oh, not a safety tip.
Oh.
I want to know how to stay safe because...
me too.
Yeah. My youngest daughter would ride around, and she stopped because she's a heavy girl and got all sorts of insults thrown at her. So it's definitely not part of the culture that people who are not, I guess that's, place where they're, slim and fit and all the rest of it. And the oldest, who's an avid bike rider, had a stick thrown through her front tire, hit the spokes, and of course she went head over heels, and it could have been really dangerous. And I gave up riding my bike because it kept getting stolen. There isn't enough safe places to keep your bike to actually go to the grocery store, lock up the bike, and then go home with the actual groceries.
I've heard that, yeah.
Yeah, so there you go.
Thanks. We'll see what Patty has to say about that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I am so sorry. Those first two stories make me sick. It's really too bad. I'm really sorry that your kids have had to deal with that. I wish I could say, tell them to keep going, but I know once you get discouraged like that, it's really hard to keep going. I do hope that you do bring them out to a group ride, maybe with Bike Winnipeg. We are a very welcoming community, and we do these safe and slow rolls where we have a large group of people riding together, and we have ride marshals that will keep you safe, and it's a really loving community. If you want to check out bikewinnipeg.ca, you'll be able to see what events we have coming up. As far as your third question about locking up. I take my bike everywhere I go. I actually don't have a car anymore, so I depend on my bike for groceries and everything. And I'm going to say it, I don't buy my locks at the Walmarts and Canadian Tires. I do spend good money on a lock at a bike shop, and I use 3 locks on my bike because if someone is going to get through 3 locks, it will take them a long time to do so, and my bike is my main means of transportation. So that's sort of what I can say right there. Keep it in a very high vis area and use at least 2 to 3 locks.
Well, thanks very much, Patty. And Kathleen, I hope that you will get your kids out on one of the group rides and invest in a whole bunch of bike locks. We're going to try and squeeze in one more caller. So thanks very much for being with us.
Thank you.
And just to wrap things up, we have Heidi on the line. Heidi, what do you have to say to Patty?
Well, I'm a pedestrian and a car driver, but I walk every day, and the number of bicycles that come up behind me and just zip by without acknowledging that I'm there is really annoying. And it would be really great if every bicycle was compulsory with a horn or a bell to let people know they're coming.
Good point. And actually, I love the sound of a bicycle bell. That ching, ching,
I
ching,
know,
ching.
me too.
But otherwise, having them whip by you is terrifying.
One of the goals that we have, that I have as bicycle mayor and in my role with Bike Winnipeg, is to, my partner and I are thinking of creating an educational video that teaches people how to be courteous on the path, because really a bicycle bell is not that difficult. It's not that expensive. Just ring it a little bit before you pass a pedestrian or another cyclist. Sometimes I'm riding my bike and I have someone zoom by me. I had no idea that they were passing.
Well, thank you very much, Patty. We're going to have to leave it there. Heidi, thank you for being the last caller on this show. And thank you to the Bike Mayor of Winnipeg, Patty Wiens, for being with us.
Thank you for watching the CBC Manitoba YouTube channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. For the latest breaking news and top stories, download the CBC News app.